Welcome, fellow mutants. This time I have something a little different. No, it's not about precious metals or survival this time, but rather something I cooked up homebrew style for a similarly themed game based on paper, pen, and dice. You see, I have a bit of an addiction to creating fictional scenarios and can't always dictate where the next obsession might take me. This time it's for a game called Mutant Crawl Classics by Goodman Games, which I've covered here before, although when I had a much smaller subscriber base long ago. At least until I make my own simple solo dice game, I've taken to building off the rule sets others have made. So, for some of you this might not be your hammered copper cup of herbal tea collected from your victory garden. Worry not, I'll have more videos like that to come. But if you are willing to step into a world of weird and fantastic mutants and post-apocalyptic survivors for some gaming, then welcome as I introduce a new class for MCC, the Wilder. There's just something about a world teeming with weird mutated creatures and bizarre and complicated technology of ancients that begs for the simplicity of smacking the bad guys right between the eyes with spectacular results. If there's something about Mutant Crawl Classics, and to some extent even Gamma World, that didn't quite sit right with the setting I had in mind, it was how the settings in many adventures and even the rulebook itself have the players often start off with a sort of kumbaya council of the pacifists called the Clan of the Cog, and clearly that runs up in my head against the ideas and scenarios of an insane world of mutations and people gone mad where there's a struggle to survive and strong often prey upon the weak. That's where the Wilder can step in and add a little contrary and darker flavor. Some might say that Mighty Deeds in Action from Dungeon Crawl Classics, lack of inclusion amongst the Mutant Crawl Classics pure strain humans, makes those human classes in the game a little bland compared to the Dungeon Crawl Classics alternatives, especially when put up against mutant classes in the game. To answer that call, I have created a Stone Age barbarian type of class, the Wilder. Given the references to Thundar the Barbarian in Appendix M and the default Stone Age setting, it's only natural that such a character class would exist for MCC. There are countless larger-than-life science fantasy warriors to draw on, from Yor, Hunter from the Future, John Blackstar, the family from the Herculoids, John Carter of Mars, and even He-Man. Of course, there's no need to limit this class to men. Furiosa from Mad Max is a good inspiration for a more realistic world Wilder, and for a less serious take on the parody 80s-style action movie Kung Fury had Barbariana with her own awesome theme song worthy of checking out, and Katana riding giant wolves and dinosaurs. And while more fantasy than science fiction, it's easy to see Zula from Conan the Destroyer or Xena Warrior Princess holding their own in the Mutant Crawl Classics world. Literature and mythology is also filled with examples of Wilder-type heroic characters dating back to Enkidu in ancient Mesopotamian myths, or even Hercules. Some modern depictions of Boudica, queen of the ancient Iceni tribe, also fit as a Wilder, as in stature she was very tall, in appearance most terrifying, in the glance of her eye most fierce, and her voice was harsh. A great mass of the tawniest hair fell to her lips. Her hips. Of course, there's always a place for antagonists to play as Wilders and challenge players, such as the War Boys from the aforementioned Mad Max, the Fang Clan from the Japanese animation Fist of the North Star, or the Pictish female warrior Etain from the movie Centurion. Regardless of the inspiration you have for the Wilder you play or who plays against you, deadly brute force and cat-like reflexes are a must in a world of deadly perils, and that's where the Wilder comes in. At first glance, Wilders, with all of their abilities and mighty deeds, might seem like a no-brainer choice when put up against the more boring Sentinel class. From a rules perspective, in comparison to other MCC pure-strain humans, however, the Wilders' focus on their bodies, extra abilities, and inward strength comes at the cost of being somewhat less skilled than Sentinels with martial weapons, and with lower critical chances and different crit tables. So there is still a place for the Sentinel with powerful artifacts and critical chances to sway the tide of battle and be key party members, especially for those min-max players. Now, on to the introduction that you've been waiting for of the Wilder. Wilder, you are a barbarian, a warrior, a basher of skulls capable of mighty deeds. You place your trust in your reflexes, muscles, and sinew, which you have owned to perfection. Lesser beings tremble at your gaze. You can smash your enemies with a chunk of rock just as easily as a club. You distrust complex artifacts of the Ancient Ones and want little to do with them unless they are of the simplest design, such as a fabulous glowing sword, or a club with a mysterious aura that makes for bitter head bashing. Your people value not only your prowess in battle, but your unwavering bravery and leadership in all endeavors. You've been called brash and overconfident by some, but you brush aside these criticisms of weaklings. You know that no matter the situation at hand, you will be victorious. Physically gifted, larger-than-life, and courageous pure-strain humans from more barbaric and primitive tribes choose to be Wilders. Wilders have excellent hit points, fortitude saves, and attack bonuses, along with the ability to perform mighty deeds. Wilders gain 1d12 hit points at each level. Imposing Glare. Once per encounter prior to the first attack, the Wilder can attempt to intimidate enemies by staring them down, flexing, or making a threatening flourish of the weapon. Enemies who meet the Wilder's gaze must make a will save or suffer -2 to their next attack and damage rolls against the Wilder. This ability does not work on some beings such as robots or holograms. This ability cannot be used when the Wilder is surprised or ambushing an enemy. Skull Smasher. Whether it's a loose chunk of rock, a wooden barrel, or a rusted bar of metal, Wilders are capable of wielding most 5 to 50 pound or 2 to 22 kilo objects as dangerous improvised blunt weapons at -1 to hit. Treat damage as per material, 1d6 wooden, 1d7 stone, 1d8 metal, or ancient. Add +2 damage past 25 pounds or 11 kilos. Depending on the material and composition, these temporary weapons may suffer a 50% chance to crumble apart or break into pieces after each use as a weapon. GM's discretion. Mighty Deeds. For examples and details of Mighty Deeds of Arms, please refer to Dungeon Crawl Classics Rulebook page 43 or the free DCC Quick Start Rules PDF, page 13. Iron Gut. Wilders ritually consume raw foods, strange drinks, and other questionable supplements such as herbs and tonics in great quantities to harden themselves and maintain their imposing physiques. Wilders gain a +2 to fortitude saves versus poisons, gases, spores, or other toxins touched, imbibed, eaten, or breathed. Darwinian Luck and AI Recognition. As with the healer, see page 30. Archaic Alignment. Wilders are from tribes that generally shun association with outsiders and archaic alignments. In rare cases, however, the most bestial of Wilders, level 3 and above, have been granted membership with the Chosen Zoo after proving themselves worthy to Manimal members through a series of trials run by Manimals. If you do add a Wilder to a party of more straight-laced Clan of the Cog Seekers, you could have some fun, since the Wilder's going to more than likely be a loose cannon they run into along the way, or perhaps some cross-tribe attempt at collaboration. Their animalistic tendencies and belief that violence and strength solve most problems are likely to run up against the Clan of the Cog's more measured and almost pacifist philosophy. Though they don't have a specific archaic alignment they adhere to, they all hail from tribes that generally revere some animal or monster trait, such as the Poison Claw tribe, And if they do try to join an archaic alignment, they generally look to join the chosen zoo, as they have a reverence for manimals, though even manimals may find the wilders to be a bit much. As such, they are predisposed to distrust and dislike the gene police, who on occasion have attempted to infiltrate their tribes, or for that matter, the techno-rabble who dabble in ancient technology they want little to do with. This is not to say that all wilders are intentionally disruptive or will work against a party. They are often heroes amongst their own kind, and even those with tendencies toward evil usually believe in a greater goal that includes the well-being of their tribe. This can be the hook that gets them in with a group of seekers, a regional threat, for example, that threatens all life. Though you may or may not wish to include this in your game, wilders also ritually indulge in mind-altering chemicals, fermented drinks, and even ingested toxic foods and plants. This has the effect of hardening them against the many dangers of the wild, but it is also said to have odd side effects, adding to their chaotic nature and tendency toward wild outbursts or spur-of-the-moment actions. They place an enormous focus on training their bodies like bodybuilders with rocks and heavy weapons, however, running or rock climbing, and hunt animals for a diet prioritizing high protein intake. Well, that's the Wilder class. I hope that you enjoy it. I will post a link to the PDF file and share it in the description below. That's all I had for today. It's Copper Mutant, signing out.